Hey Jazz Guitar Lifers, and welcome to the Jazz Guitar Life video chat episode 6. If you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. Before I begin, I just want to take a few moments to say thank you to all those who have reached out to tell me how much they've enjoyed these videos. Greatly appreciated. Your support and encouragement goes a long, long way, let me tell you. So please continue to do so. Please continue to subscribe and to like these videos. It helps a lot, apparently, with the YouTube algorithm. So, without further ado, let's get started. I've got a bunch of things I want to talk about today, but of course, it wouldn't be a jazz guitar video chat or jazz guitar life video chat without mentioning the great Dave Stryker. Recently, a video popped up on YouTube with Dave Stryker being featured at the Frank Vignola guitar thing that he does at Birdland every week. I don't know if you've checked that out, but definitely go on YouTube. I will put a link below in the description box with a link to the Dave Stryker video with Frank, and it's great. Dave plays his butt off, and just marvelous, marvelous. And of course, Frank is a great musician as well. So definitely worth, I think it's about an hour and 15 minutes of your time, but just great, great playing. So congratulations, Dave and Frank, who I hope to get on the Jazz Guitar Life podcast one of these days. Speaking of Jazz Guitar Life, about a year ago, I think, I featured an interview with the wonderful Jocelyn Gould, who has been making big strides in the jazz guitar world and community. I believe she is Canadian. I think she's out of Toronto, or maybe out west, maybe Winnipeg. I should know these things because I interviewed her, but I forget. So anyway, it's a fun read. I'm going to put the link down below, and I'm shouting out to her because she's been nominated for a Juno, which, as you may or may not know, is Canada's version of the Grammys. So that's really exciting, and I'm sure she's just over the moon about it. She has a new album, a relatively new album anyway, called Portrait of Right Now, and I will put a link below as well to the video portion of the YouTube portion of that album. You can listen to it in its entirety. Great playing. She's got a great voice. I believe 8 out of the 10 compositions are hers, and there's 2 Jingles is one of them, the Wes Montgomery tune, which she just kills. She's great. I mean, Wes obviously is, everybody's inspiration, but she takes it to a little extra level, which is really nice. So definitely check her out, and send her some love if you can, by either reading the interview below or checking her out on Facebook or Instagram or many of her social media things. And she's all over the place. She's on tour, she's recording, she's teaching, she's doing it all, she's living the dream. And she seems to be a legit nice person. So definitely worth all the love that we all can show her. Next up, Bobby Broom, my man. So Bobby Broom, first saw him back in 1982 when I started attending jazz festival shows in Montreal. We had the Montreal Jazz Festival. Bobby is just a wonderful musician, and he's grown and developed so greatly over the years. I first saw him, as I said, in 1982 with Sonny Rollins. That was a wonderful show. It's captured on video. The media arm of the the Jazz Festival of Montreal has this other offshoot, which is, where they take the shows for broadcast all over the world. And so if you look for Sonny Rollins 1982 Montreal Jazz Festival on YouTube, I'm sure it will pop up. Just a great, great guy. I've interviewed him twice. Once in a featured interview where we really get into some heavy stuff. And then he was gracious enough to do a Jazz Guitar Life podcast more recently, where we get into more heavy stuff, and it's a very candid look at just a great musician, who you know, who was just wonderful. What more can I say about Bobby? He's great. The reason why I'm mentioning him, he's coming out, speaking of Wes before, he's coming out with a new album sometime, I believe, March 28th, maybe. It's called More Amor, and it's a tribute to Wes, and he's playing with a Chicago big band, and they've just released recently the first single off that album, which I will include in the link below. It's just a great version of a Beatles song, I believe. And so I really should know more of this stuff when I come on here. Anyway, I apologize. But I will definitely put the links below so you can check it out. And, you know, once again, Bobby is another one of those cats who deserves all the love and support that we could throw his way, because he's really out there for us all. He's a great player. He's recording. He's teaching. He's just, you know, the real deal. So definitely check him out. That would be great. Speaking of the real deal, I recently saw a video with Chris Whiteman doing impressions with his quartet in a what seemed to be a sold-out show live performance, a recent live performance. Chris, if you don't know, is a wonderful player, super fluid, steeped in the tradition, a great mainstream player, who I also interviewed on Jazz Guitar Life, which I will leave the link below so you can check him out, get to know him. He's a great educator. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's got a bunch of educational videos on there, as well as performance videos. Just a wonderful cat. Great, you know, like I said, great fluidity, great lines. I mean, you know, coming from Jimmy Rainey, Wes, Kenny Burrell, all those cats. Just a wonderful player. And read the interview, because it's really good, if I do say so myself. We spoke on length, and he's just a great guy, and he's got some beautiful vintage amps and guitars, which he talks about in the interview. So check that out as well. Chris Whiteman, great guy. Also, I have a couple of his albums on Jazz Guitar Life as reviews as well. He came out with one recently with, well, about a year or two ago, with Royce Campbell, who is another great player. And it's just a wonderful, you know, great music to sit back and listen to, and not frenetic, not, you know, technical. I mean, he's technical, obviously, but not like technique for technique's sake. It's with those cats, it's all about the music and the lines within the music. So definitely Chris Whiteman, definitely check him out. And like I said, I'll leave a link below. Speaking of similar style players, Larry Newcomb. I say that as if I don't know him. I don't know him personally, but I do know of him. When I first started Jazz Guitar Life way back in 2004, one of the, you know, first 10 or 12 interviews I did, one of them was Larry Newcomb, who I did not know at the time, but he's a great player. And this album, I totally forgot about. He sent it to me a while back. I put it on my shelf to listen to it, and then I just got into other things and totally forgot. Was going through my collection the other day, found it, listened to it. So this album, so you may not recognize Larry, but you should recognize Bucky Pizarelli. Bucky, of course, you know, passed, but a wonderful player, wonderful old school player. Larry Newcomb is pretty much a similar style in the sense that he comes from the tradition. Not too flashy, just melodic, beautiful lines, a wonderful player. And this album features Bucky on 7 of the 11 tracks, I believe. Yes, and there's a mixture of Larry Newcomb originals and some standards like I Remember You, Alone Together, and Peace by Horace Silver. And each of those tunes that he puts on here are basically meant to be tributes to the people who gave him the most inspiration and influence in his life, whether it be Jim Hall, whether it be Larry's wife. It's just a wonderful album and great album to kind of put on if you just want to chill out, you know. It's just a great album. So check that out. I'll put a link in the description if I can find this somewhere online. Definitely also, I don't remember if I kept the Larry interview because Jazz Guitar Life died a couple of years ago, and actually about 4 years ago. Then I brought it back about 2 years ago. So I lost a lot of stuff, and Larry's interview may have been lost in that shuffle. So I will try and find it if it's not already up there. I'll try and find it. But just a great musician. Anyway, if you want to check out more about him, LarryNewcomb.com. Newcomb, Newcomb, and this was done in 2017. So a wonderful album. Other wonderful albums, speaking of, this I haven't listened to in years, like literally, you know, maybe 20, 25 years, and it still plays well today, and it's Friday Night in San Francisco, the Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, Paco de Lucia live album. You know, what can I say? Three great players. I mean, this album really turned me around in terms of, you know, technique and how skilled one could be, but at the same time, still playing like you enjoy playing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but maybe you know what I mean. So definitely, if you have this or you haven't heard it in a while, slip it back on, relax, you know, and grab a tea, which I'm going to do now. Hold on a second. Or a coffee or a drink or whatever you want, and give it a listen. It holds up. And I remember seeing these guys. This was released 1981. I saw these guys, I think, around that same year, maybe 1982, in Montreal at a venue called Place des Arts. An amazing show. Opening up for them was Steve Morse on acoustic guitar, both steel string and nylon string, and that was great. I was a huge, you know, Steve Morse fan, a huge Dixie Dregs fan, and then at the end of the show, Steve came on and joined them for I think 2 or 3 songs, if I remember correctly, and just a wonderful evening of great music. So if it's, you know, if you've got this at home, slap it back down, take the time machine, go back to when you were, you know, however old, back in 1981, and relive those memories because they're fun. All right. Speaking of fun, Scott Hamilton too. So I'm assuming this is his second solo album as a leader. Normally, I associate Chris Flory as Scott's guitar player. Chris, of course, is a wonderful musician who comes out of the real tradition of jazz guitar. Just a great cat who I have interviewed, and he's on the jazzguitarlife.com website. But I did part 1 years ago, and I haven't done part 2 yet. And I'm just thinking of I'll probably just scrap the whole thing and call Chris and get him on the podcast instead, because a lot of stuff has happened since then, and I think we all should know what's going on. So I will do that. But on this album, Cal Collins is the guitar player. And if you don't know Cal, passed unfortunately as well, but Cal is a marvelous player. I think he's from the Midwest or something. I don't remember exactly. But just a great player, and he plays both electric and acoustic on this album, acoustic steel string. and he knocked me out. He kills. East of the sun, there is no greater love. You know, it could happen to you. These foolish things remind me of you. You know, a whole bunch of standards and stuff. There's 10 tunes on this album, and uh, you know, and Kyle plays great. As he does on all his albums. I've had a few of his albums in the past. I don't know if I still have them. I got to check. But he's just a great player in the style, like, you know, Joe Pass, Barney Kessel, those type of guys. But very fiery on this album. Just kills it. Just amazing. So check that out. Cal Collins on Scott Hamilton 2. I'm sure this is on YouTube somewhere. If it is, I will put a link below. And just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful playing. I can't say wonderful enough. And speaking of wonderful, I forgot to mention the last time I did this. About 2 weeks ago, I updated Jazz Guitar Life to feature 2 interviews and 1 of 5 Desert Island Picks segment. So the 2 interviews were with Felix Lamerle, the French guitar player who now lives in New York, who I've mentioned once before on these video chats, and another person who I also mentioned, the 15-year-old phenomenon, Ronnie Elliott. So both those interviews are up on Jazz Guitar Life. If you want to check them out, I will leave the links below. And just great stuff, very fun. You may be impressed with Ronnie, because like I said, 15 years old, a great player. His responses to the questions that I asked were very mature and very surprising, given that when I was 15 years old, you know, if I could string a sentence together, I was lucky. So just a fun read. So, and you know, it doesn't take that long to read it at all. So definitely check him out. Like I said, I'll leave the links below for the interviews. And before I go, I wanted to talk just a little bit, or just give a kind of a shout out. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this guy's name right. Uffe Steen, Uffe, and then Steen, Steen. I saw him on YouTube yesterday. I think it was in one of those recommended, YouTube videos that they have on the right of the video that you are watching. And I was surprised. I was taken back. This guy plays well, in the video that I saw, and in some of the videos, he plays a telly, but he plays it left-handed, upside down. I think you'll see it when you check him out. I'll leave a link below to his channel. An amazing player. He plays mostly, what I've seen is solo guitar work. He does have some performances with, I believe, a trio or a quartet, but a very unique way of playing. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Wayne Krantz, but just a little bit. Not to say that, I mean, maybe he was influenced by Wayne, or maybe Wayne was influenced by him, but just a very unique player, and something that I was really happy to have discovered. So I will put a link to his channel below. Check him out. Let me know what you think about him in the comments, as well as what you think about any of this stuff, if you have a few moments, because I always like to read your comments. I always like to get feedback. I know these are really casual things that I do. I just throw the camera on and I blab, and sometimes I know what I'm talking about. Other times I have to think about it for a few seconds. I really should come more prepared, but what I like to do is I want the spontaneity to be there. This is my way of improvising in the jazz context, but sometimes getting a little bit of feedback, getting a little bit of I would love to see this. Can you put this guy on? Can you talk about her? Stuff like that would be great. And give me more ideas for content and for getting the word out to you all. So that's it. Take care. Thanks again for dropping by. Please go check out www.thejazzguitarlife.com, thejazzguitarlife.com, or you can email me at info@thejazzguitarlife.com. And I look forward to hearing from you. And once again, thanks a lot. And remember, jazz guitar lives at Jazz Guitar Life. Take care, all.